everyone, welcome or welcome back to the Chance at Life podcast with Crystal Lee. It's me, your host, Crystal Lee, and welcome. I think all of us have heard the phrase one time or other that misery loves company. But in this episode, I want to change the perspective on that quote. So if you're ready for your perspective to be shifted on that phrase, grab a snack, grab a drink, and let's get into it. Misery loves company was a phrase that I heard growing up when it revolved around somebody verbalizing their current life struggles. And the saying itself is insinuating that this person is verbalizing their struggles because they want everyone else to feel the same way that they're feeling. And that's not true, but I understand why we think it's true. When someone is venting how they feel or what they're going through, we start to feel what they feel, as if they are physically giving us their life and we are standing in their shoes. Especially if you're an empathic person and you can really feel the energy shift or the energy of somebody else, you can definitely feel the struggles that the person is going through or the current life events that the person is going through. And that feeling can be really heavy at times, and you can feel a draining when that person has left that environment, when that person has walked away or left your sight. So it is easy for us to say, oh, that person really wanted us to feel what they're feeling. That's why they told us. And that's why they vented to us, because they wanted us to feel what they feel. They wanted us to feel the misery that they are feeling. And we don't want to feel that. So we make it a them problem, and we make them feel bad for showing us the things that they are going through. We tell them to just keep it in because they're making other people feel bad. And if you ever worked in customer service or just were out and about and you ask somebody, hey, how you're doing? And their reply with, can't complain, but even if I did, no one would care. And whether it's an internal belief or a taught one, the reason why somebody will reply that way is because the way people perceive another person's struggle is a negative one, a non-communal one, an independent one, apart from anybody else. It's all theirs to carry. And there are a couple reasons why we believe somebody's struggle is an independent one away from community. And a lot of people like to live in a state of false positivity. In the spiritual community, we call it spiritual bypassing, but essentially it's acting as if no negative emotion, event can hurt you if you just think positive. You won't feel negative if you always, without a doubt, wake or sleep, think positively. And that the reason why some people feel negatively or are going through struggles or view their struggles in a negative light, because it is negative, the only reason why they are feeling the way that they are feeling is because they lack the ability to think positive. And one thing I learned is like sunshine all the time makes the night completely unbearable. Whereas if you make room for every part of this human experience, whether that be a negative or positive, the light or the dark, the dreary or the sunshine, it helps you to better live a full, complete life. On top of the lesson of learning about spiritual bypassing and positivity bypassing, in my own journey and my own exercise and vulnerability, I've learned that misery actually seeks community. And this can have a fault of its own because we have something called trauma bonding. It is easy for us to bond with somebody who has been through the same things that we have been through. It is easy for us to bond with somebody who was currently going through the same things that we are going through. It is easy to have negative coping mechanisms and befriend people who have the same negative coping mechanisms because you're trying to find you're trying to find community, you're trying to feel not alone. That can definitely have a negative impact on you too, because then there's no room for you to grow. Because you found this community that is just like you, you're going to continue being like you want. And that's not a judgment. It is just something that I do and did, but I also seen it in a lot of people, friends and family and people that I just care about. An example of this is working as a waitress at Applebee's when I was younger, and like being in the bar scene and watching people talk about their woes, all the way from childhood trauma to drug addiction to, spousal problems or relationship problems. And when somebody's talking about their problem, you can see kind of like a change in character when the person they're talking to has been through the same thing. It's almost a relief. It's almost a joy because like, oh, I'm not alone. Oh, you've been through this. This makes me feel a little bit better because I'm talking to somebody who gets it. They just want someone who gets it. And where this can go wrong, because it goes wrong, unfortunately, is that when they find a community who has been through the same thing that they have been through, it leaves them stuck in their current environment. And again, that's not to judge or victim blame or anything. It is just our behavior as human. When we find our people, we stay with our people. So a negative impact of seeking community with the struggles that you're holding is that it keeps you in that environment, in the struggles that you're holding, and in the community that you've sought out. But a positive of seeking community is that you can find people who have been through what you have been through and who have gotten through it. So misery doesn't just seek company, misery doesn't just seek community, but misery can seek community to heal. And again, on my journey of healing and exercising vulnerability, I have met people who were able to walk me through an example of how they healed something that I'm currently going through and how they got through it. And that's beautiful. So misery doesn't just seek community, it seeks community to heal. They could give me advice or to do or the first steps in getting past something that's really hard. And if not give advice, they can literally just hold space for me because they have been able to hold space for themselves, just to vent or just to get it out, just to let go of it. An example of me exercising vulnerability and finding community, I have been very vocal of some of my relationship struggles or personal self-love struggles on social media, mostly TikTok, because millions of people are on there and the platform itself lends you to just be open about who you are and show your real self. I have been vocal about my struggles, like certain struggles in life and lessons learned, and when I've done that and I didn't edit the video, I didn't try not to cry, I didn't try to show a brave face while talking about something hard, when I did the vulnerable and authentic thing and posted it, I found people who are going through the same thing, but who also have gotten through the same thing. And they would talk about their experiences and how they got through it, how they're currently going through it. I may not know these people, but it's definitely a community. And it makes me feel not alone. It makes me feel like what I'm going through isn't a unique situation that I don't know how I'll ever get through it. It is a situation plenty of people who have been through before and have gotten through it, and that gives me so much hope. So in seeking community to heal, it allows hope to seep into your life and to make you realize there is a brighter light. There is a time in your life where you won't be going through the same thing, where it will be a different environment, a different feeling, so on and so forth. When it comes back to the original statement of misery loves company, when you find your people, they'll appreciate your vulnerability. They'll appreciate your ability to be raw and to be open, because that phrase in itself, and going back to, spiritual bypassing and toxic positivity, it doesn't allow someone to fully feel their feelings, to pass through them. It doesn't allow them to face what they're going through with courage and honesty. And that leads to denial, which I believe stunts your healing process a lot. Because when you're in denial, it's hard for you to feel anything that you need to feel to let it pass through you. Our feelings aren't for us to hold on to, aren't for us to push down. It is to pass through us. So you're not angry, you feel angry until you don't, until you let that pass. You're not sad, you feel happy until it passes. And the one thing that is so guaranteed in this human life is that things pass through us, things change. So something to remember when it comes to seeing somebody going through a struggle or going through something negative is that this person is not you. This person processes things separate from you, which goes back to whether you can seek community to stay the same or seek community to change. And so when we hear people talking about their issues, and if we don't have space for that, if we don't have the energy to lend to them for that, it is fine. You're not a bad person for not wanting to hear somebody talk about their struggles or bad time. I think it's sympathetic to let them know in a nice way that, hey, I don't have energy for you right now. I don't have the space for you right now. Maybe I will in the future, but right now I don't. And that itself isn't blaming the person for needing to vent. And it's also not making you see him as a horrible person, which no one really cares about. But you know what I mean? Like it's treating somebody with love who is going through a hard time. In conclusion to this short but important talk, when it comes to reframing the phrase misery loves company to misery seeks community to heal, remember when somebody is being open and vulnerable and raw with you, appreciate their vulnerability. It is so hard to be vulnerable, to be open, and to be honest about your struggle in the world that begs you, tells you every day to just push it down, to not be anything but happy. Appreciate somebody sharing that with you. Hold space if you can. Be loving if you cannot. And that gives the people a chance to really live a complete life, to honor their bad times, because it helps them further appreciate their good times and appreciate the community that they're slowly building by being themselves. I love you. I am grateful for you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.